Welcome to Safe Harbour, and this is an episode all around addiction. We're going to be having a conversation today for the next 30 minutes around addiction. How does it show up in our lives and our reflections on it? As ever, it's going to be just our opinions, and I'm here with Jamie as ever, and yeah, this is quite a hot topic. I noticed we were both a little bit kind of, Jamie, how was it for you when we sort of came up with this topic of addiction? What was there for you?
Yeah, felt slightly exposed. Yeah, I got butterflies in my stomach. Still have. I'm still like still slightly anxious to talk about it. Yeah, it feels quite what's the word? Because I really want to be open in these conversations that we have, you know, to be really honest and in service of myself and the listeners, you know, to really go to my edge with these conversations. So I notice talking about addictions brings up, yeah.
Well, it's interesting because you suggested the subject as well, didn't you?
I did.
I think that's what we do with this, is we bring to the table that which we are really curious about and that which we're dealing with and fascinated by. So there's no point just talking about the weather, is there? If we want something meaty and real. So maybe you want to kick us off. Like, what had you bring this subject to this particular episode?
Conversations I'm having with men at the minute. I'm talking like mates, not just, just everybody. I think the situation we're in at the minute with pandemic and everything that's going on in the world, there's more addiction around. There's more numbing out around. And I speak for myself here as well. I notice I'm using, addictive patterns are showing up more regularly for me because I'm using it as a coping mechanism during these times. To cope with anxiety or cope with discomfort, I'll just sort of turn to addictive patterns to soothe myself and to make things momentarily feel all right. And I'm noticing conversations I have with other blokes that they're doing the same, more so than they've ever done. And so I just think I just thought it'd be a really great thing for us to talk about today, to hopefully reach out to other men and women. To really just bring this to out into the open, because it is a hot potato addiction. You know, I think certainly for myself, there's a grey area of, well, I'm not really an addict, because that classic addict for me is an alcoholic or a drug addict, smackhead kind of, really hard at end. And actually, there is something quite black and white about that. It's almost easier to be a heroin addict or an alcoholic versus someone who's got an addiction to Facebook or ordering stuff off of Amazon, or because they're more socially acceptable, aren't they? Those things. It's almost easier to be a drug addict because that's clear. That's life wrecking kind of territory, isn't it? It takes all your money, it destroys relationships and etc. And so does alcohol. They're the top two. If I am to think about addiction, they're the top two that I think, wow, they scare the shit out of me. Going anywhere near those territories as an addict. So yeah, that's kind of my opening kind of why did I suggest that we talk about it, I guess.
Yeah, it's interesting. It feels like when you talk about it, what I sense is that you have that there's some fear around it. There's some. It feels ominous, or like I don't necessarily want to look at that, or I don't necessarily want to admit that I'm susceptible to that. Maybe I don't know if that's true or not, but I get a sense of. So I can talk about addiction, and I haven't had any real experience of addiction to alcohol for sure, or drugs, or any traditional addictions, I suppose. But certainly I am, I think, addicted to some degree in buying things as in buying tech and gadgets and things that kind of, I imagine in my head, will make my life better and allow me to do my work better. I'm quite susceptible to advertising from the companies that I like and get behind. It's usually technology. It's usually camera lenses, or it's usually cameras, or the new version of this, the next version of that. So I'm quite an update junkie, if you like, for technology. So it'd be interesting for us to pull apart our kind of our own imprints or our own fingerprints around kind of addiction and how it shows up in our lives, and maybe any awareness around that, and also maybe detrimental effects as well, what you're noticing around it.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it's something that it's real. It's real for now. It's real for me. There are addictions that I have that I'm really interested in the 12 step thing as well. I've really I've looked at it before in the past. There was a time, I can't remember how long ago it was now, maybe 5 years ago, I stopped drinking for a year and knocked the beers on the head, and that was massive. That was a massive it's a massive realization at the time for me to do that, because I was in a band and I was just playing out the rock star. I'm kind of laughing about it, but it's almost what I did. I was a front man singer in a dad's punk band. I don't know why I'm laughing.
Why do I not know about this?
I don't know why I'm laughing, but
well, because it's unusual.
well, it's just, yeah, like, we were fucking great as well. It was great. We were really good. I thought we were really good. And I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed the camaraderie. I enjoyed being the front man and mucking around. And we went in a studio and everything, and we played. It was really loud stuff, you know, with headphones on, and we recorded a short EP. And so I was in this kind of rock and roll lifestyle. So I can really see how rock stars in bands go to addiction, go to alcohol, because it was the alcohol that really lit my fire. Like, you know, it was rock music, punk music. We were like, I was jumping around, and
there's a lot of energy around that, isn't there?
Yeah, big time. And imagine being out on the road in a band, you know, like someone like the Aerosmith, or, you know, these big Led Zeppelin, and I can imagine how easy it is to slip into those addictions. So I did exactly that, and started drinking way too much.
And what were you drinking?
We were drinking beers in rehearsals, but I was drinking stronger stuff. You know, I was drinking whiskey and stuff like that. And I went to one rehearsal one night. We showed up, and I was so pissed I couldn't even talk.
Wow.
I couldn't talk. I couldn't sing. I was slurring my words.
How old were you then at the time?
It's about 5 years ago. I'm 46 now.
Okay, wow. Oh, so not too long ago.
No, not that long ago. No, not that long ago.
And so then you hit a point where it was just like, right, enough of this.
Because it was affecting the rest of my life. It was affecting the relationship with my wife, my kids, and it slowly started to creep in.
Can I ask how it was affecting the relationship with them?
Yeah, sure. I was just it came up in therapy, and I said, you know, I think one day I went in and I said, I think I might be an alcoholic. And her face sort of, her eyes widened, and I, you know, I thought, yeah, shit.
The therapist, yeah?
This is not great, yeah. And then I started crying. I just broke down, just started weeping, and the therapy went on. And I decided that day, I said, right, I'm going to stop drinking for a year.
Wow.
And went home.
What was the aha in your head which said, I think I might be an alcoholic?
I lost control. I felt like I didn't have control of my life anymore.
Right.
I was a momentary alcoholic.
Okay.
If I'd have carried on, that shit was not going to go well. The therapist said to me, if you don't stop drinking today, where do you think you might be in 6 weeks' time?
Okay.
I said, probably in a one-bedroom flat above a Bucky's somewhere in Gloucester. She went, I think you better stop drinking, don't you?
Mm.
And I was like, fuck yeah,
Mm.
okay, shit, all right.
Were you drinking in the mornings or the?
Oh no, nothing like that.
Mm.
This is I guess high end recreational drinking.
Sure.
So I've never drunk during the day. If I drink in the day, I fall asleep. If I have a pint of lager at a festival somewhere, I'm
Mm.
asleep. Can't
Mm.
do it. Never have been able to. But my drinking time was getting earlier and earlier in the day.
Right. So
Get to
you was.
like normally like most people's, well, most people. It's a weird thing to say, isn't it? But 6, 7. Maybe have a beer or something in the evening.
Mm.
Mine was getting. I was starting to think about having a drink about 3 o'clock. I
Mm.
was going.
And
Oh
what
dear.
happened when you thought about it? What did you feel inside?
The pang of
Mm.
needing a drink rather than thinking about,
Mm.
oh, you
Interesting.
know what? It'd be nice to have a drink. This was like my system needs a drink, and
Right.
the saboteurs came so strong.
Mm.
The permission slips were like, yeah, it's fine. You've been working hard all day.
Okay.
This is when I doing a lot of building stuff.
Mm.
You've been working hard all day. You deserve a drink. Go on, get one.
So there was an
And
inner voice that was giving you the kind of justification for,
yeah,
of course you can have a drink. It's okay. What did you associate the drink with? As in, like, it sounds like it's almost like a gift, or it was a kind of, yeah, you've worked hard. You deserve this.
I was actually getting more and more unhappy, and I
Yeah.
think I was getting more and more unhappy and more trapped. And it was like it was pulling me down. It was
Mm.
making me anxious. It was making me. I knew that I was sneaking around doing it. I knew I
Oh,
was doing it
really?
behind my family, and it wasn't like I was coming home and sitting at the dinner table at 3 o'clock and pulling a bottle of beer out of the fridge. I had to do that in a bit more secrecy because
Mm.
I was ashamed of it. Actually, yeah, there was some shame, a lot of shame attached,
Mm.
and but making that decision.
Yeah, what was it that had you get secretive with it? What was your thinking behind, right, I can't just be openly drinking a bottle of beer on the table in the kitchen here now. I have to kind of do it discreetly and subversively. What was your thinking behind that?
Because I didn't want anyone else to see me drinking that amount of alcohol.
Right. So it's quantity as well that you were drinking.
So I could have, 3 beers in private
Hmm.
and then come be in the household and have, have another beer in the house.
Hmm.
And everyone else assumes I've just had 1 beer, but I haven't. I've had 3.
Hmm. Bottles? Or cans? Or
Yeah, just a little bottle,
yeah.
like a Budweiser or a whatever.
And it's funny because when you say that to me, that doesn't sound like a great deal. It sounds like, okay, so what's a bottle? Half a pint? So if you were to have 2 bottles, it would be a pint.
Yeah.
And it doesn't sound like a great deal. So if I were to have 3 bottles and then I were to come in and just have the one on top of that, for me, it would feel like, oh, this is fine. So, which is interesting. But for me, because I don't have guilt associated with it or strapped to it, if you like. So maybe it was the mindset piece around the story you were telling yourself what beer represents. It feels like the guilt was not necessarily about the thing, but it was about the engagement with the thing and what you were using it for.
Yeah. Yeah, the relationship I was having with it. Yeah, it's almost like having
Oh.
an affair,
Right.
an affair with the beer.
Yes.
I guess as I'm hearing us talk about it, as I'm hearing us unpack it,
Yeah.
it's really interesting because I've been drinking these alcohol-free, fantastic hoppy lagers. You can't tell the difference. You just don't get that slight nosy alcohol beer bit. But they're fabulous. They're really good in Waitrose. They're £1.30 a bottle, so they're not expensive, and they're thirst quenchers. And actually, I have one of them, and I'm happy. It's done, and I can spend the evening with my kids and do normal things. But that time when I made that decision to stop, it was like switching off a light in that therapy room. It was like, no, off, because the thought of spending however many months and years in a 1-bedroom flat above a Bucky's, I could even see it. I could see it. I could smell it. It was like a mate of mine's flat in Archway in London that I used to go and stay with him on weekends. It's just grungy and dirty and smelly and, and there's noise outside. And I was like, no fucking way. We got to stop this right now. Get off this train, dude.
Mm.
So I did. And within a week, then 2 weeks, then 3 weeks, the colour came back into my cheeks and I felt 25 again. And everything started to piece back into place. My relationship with my wife improved, same with the kids. And Christmas then came, and I was like, shit, how am I going to get through Christmas and not drink? It was brilliant. It was actually really cool, because everyone around me was getting pissed and I was stone cold sober. And by knowing that I'd said it's not just for December, or it's not just for January, you know, for a whole year, you know, people go, why aren't you drinking, mate? Oh, I'm having a year off drinking. What? A year? Yeah, man, a year off drinking. I've stopped now for 6 weeks. Feel really good. And they go, wow, fucking hell, man, that's brilliant. So that was it. It's a bit like stopping having meat, or I'm not on sugar for a year. Once you say it, right, it's done. I know that sounds really easy for me to say that, and there are people maybe listening to this who have and still do have alcohol problems, but so it's not that easy. It wasn't.
Well, it's interesting because it reminds me of when you were talking about, you know, when we were talking about how I think it was a procrastination episode where you were talking about how you just jump into things and you go, yeah, I'm doing it. I'm just jumping in, whereas I might procrastinate. And so I wonder if that kind of personality trait, that tendency just to, right, I'm just going to jump in, I'm going to do it, live for today, has an association with addiction. Yeah.
Yeah, probably. Yeah. And I'm back. I've been, one book that really helped me was Russell Brand's addiction book. What's it called? Recovery. I listened to it on audio and it was life changing, really brilliant. And I'm actually listening to it again right now, back listening to it again, because at this time my addiction patterns are rising up again, and not so much alcohol, slightly, but not, you know, not nowhere near on the level as they were before. Just you know, I'm just keeping an eye on it, because what that did for me was that experience really shifted my relationship with alcohol. Really had respect it.
Yeah, I have a curiosity around that. Is it for escapism, or is it for heightening the sensitivity of life with regard to how you're using it? Numbing out or heightening?
Both. Yeah, both. There is a heightening in the beginning, especially when I was using alcohol in the band. We all were in the band. We were all drinking, you know, like getting a bit pissed and getting a bit leery, and you know, making music with that, on that crest of a wave. Yeah, with the alcohol brings, you know, just like, yeah, this is great, rock and roll, bang, bang, bang. But then the crash would come down at the end of the night, and we'd all feel tired and let's go home. And then the numbing out part was just to suppress sadness, or suppress not feeling happy, not feeling purpose. There was a point in my life when I didn't have much purpose. You know, I just felt really alone and isolated. So I'd drink to suppress that and make me feel better.
I think it's interesting with alcohol in that when I do drink, and I don't drink very much, but when I do drink, certainly these days, the hangover is a lot more impactful than it used to be. And it feels like, a good friend of mine, Mike, said, you know, you've done all this great work on yourself. You've done all this personal development and growth and change and transformation and what have you. When you drink, you tell me that you feel like you're regressing, you're going backwards, and you're dulling down and you're numbing out to some degree. Like, why would you do that? And it's like, good question, you know. And it's not like I've never drunk a great deal consistently. I would go out and have a few drinks with mates and what have you. And in my earlier years, I maybe go out and have 4 or 5 pints, and it depends, you know, socially, whatever. But it's a good question. You know, the hangovers kill me. They destroy me. They're just like, psychologically speaking, I feel so low and so depressed for maybe 2 to 3 days after drinking, particularly spirits, that my brain has, I'm very thankful to it that it goes, do you know, if you drink this now, you're probably going to suffer for the next couple of days. You're aware of that? And I'm like, yeah, are you really aware of it? Okay. Okay. Less shots. All right.
Right.
And it really does. It's not a sort of strict parent in a voice, you know, which kind of restricts my enjoyment of things. But it's like, come on, Phil, man, I've got your back. You know, you can have a few drinks, of course, but just go easy, because you remember what it's like. That low is really quite low for me, and so I think that's actually quite a good thing, because if I didn't get hangovers, if I didn't get that kind of low and then going into a pit, it might be easier just to
You
drink.
might be like me.
Exactly. But I think way too much, and I go way too deep in response to the alcoholic impact the few days after, particularly with spirits.
Yeah. What's the switch? Is there a switch, that the conversation that you have that allows you to go, well, I'm going to do it anyway? What's that? How does that moment go? Because I'm curious, because with my impulsiveness, I don't even have that conversation. There is no conversation that says, Jamie, you know, if you drink this 6th bottle of beer, it's not going to be cool tomorrow. Or, you know, if you open that bottle of gin after you've had 6 bottles of beer, it's not going to end well, mate. That conversation doesn't even happen for me. So I'm curious to know how does that conversation pan out in reality, and how do you make the decision to just have those shots?
Yeah, I don't like feeling depressed. It's a stupid thing to say potentially, but maybe not. Like the possibility that I'm proactively pushing the button on depression for the next 3 days, the awareness of that and not wanting to do that is greater than the desire to lose it for the next couple of hours or so. Yeah. So it's like, I'm lucky and I'm thankful that I have that voice that says, actually, no, the depression and the lowness of a hangover is, you don't want that, Phil. You don't need that, man. You know, you can have a couple, but you don't need to have any more. It's okay. It may be different if I was at a festival or something, in which case I'd kind of allow for that sense of blowout.
Right.
But when it comes to everyday life, it's like, no, I really enjoy being in touch with my brain and my thinking, and my intelligence gets really fuzzy, and my emotion gets really up and down. And so I just don't want to do that to myself. It's almost like it's giving myself a hug and saying, no, I don't want to do that to myself. It's okay.
Yeah. And we can't do that as coaches. We can't show up to work and
Well,
work
you know,
with clients.
That's a big thing. That's a big piece. No.
You know, that's when you talk about, I'm lucky that I have that voice. I'm lucky that I do this work. So yeah, my voice is definitely for the coaching. And I'm really grateful that I do this work, because it means the night before, even the night before that, I can't drink. I have to be, you know, I limit my beers now to weekends. If I limit my alcohol to the weekend. I have a couple of beers on the weekend, and I can't show up with a hangover. You can't coach with a slight tinge of not feeling great, right?
Do you know, that was interesting in that you mentioned that, and I think because our vocation is predominantly coaching, it's predominantly coaching. No, we can't show up like that, whether virtually or in face-to-face. You know, it would be very embarrassing to say, sorry, mate, have you had a drink? Because you smell a little bit alcohol-y. It would be very embarrassing. There were times, you know, in the early days of coaching where when we were doing face-to-face stuff, where I'd been out the weekend, it was a Monday morning, and I just happened to maybe smell a little bit of alcohol, or probably less that, but I was imagining that I'd smell a bit of alcohol. But it was probably more the sense of, oh, I feel a bit dehydrated, I feel a bit hungover, and I thought, I can't do this. This is not in service of this is not what this person is paying me for. They're paying for my 400% attentiveness and ability to hold space for this person. And this feels a bit kind of going against the grain of everything that I'm promising to them in this engagement, you know. It sounds a bit high and mighty maybe, but it was something that, it was just, I felt like I was doing them a disservice if I would show up with a hangover.
The metaphor I'm reminded of is putting milk in your margarita. And I use this with my clients, like, what's the milk that you put in your margarita? And for me, it's alcohol, and it affects everything. So I really keep an eye on it. It slipped in over Christmas for sure, and my alarm bells went off
Yeah.
It's like these graphic equalizers go up and I go, whoa,
Mm-hmm.
that's not cool. Back down again.
Okay.
Get those alcohol-free beers out. Come back into land.
They do work, don't they? I mean, when you were talking about them earlier, I've had a few of those, and it was just because I just thought I want to go out, but I don't necessarily want to drink. I think it was my last birthday actually, back in January, prior to COVID. I was out and I was just like, yeah, I'm just going to see how long it goes. Wasn't going to be a year or anything, but I remember drinking these. Can't remember what it was. There was something blue, they were called, but they were bottles, and they were as expensive as beer, which is kind of weird in a pub. But psychologically speaking, my head was like, yeah, you're fine. You have the alcohol. I feel good to let you kind of get on and enjoy the rest of your evening without thinking, oh, I need a beer or something. I think geographically speaking, being in a pub, it triggers that in me. Well, I should be drinking. I'm in a pub. So that was interesting as well. When I talk about, oh, I'm not addicted to alcohol or whatever, but I think stepping into a pub and I think that smell is there, and it's kind of like you smell the beer and you're like, I'm in a pub. I can relax in this place. What comes with relaxation? A beer, alcohol. So it was interesting. The association piece did definitely trigger me into wanting to drink.
It's a bit like going into a sweet shop and asking for a banana.
Something healthy, you mean? Yeah.
Yeah. Or going into McDonald's and ordering a salad. What are you doing?
Yeah, I know. They're paying lip service, aren't they? It's like McDonald's salad. Come on now.
There's such strong narratives, aren't they?
Yeah.
They are just narratives. You don't have to drink alcohol when you go in a pub, right? Go in a pub. If you go to Weatherspoons for breakfast, which you and I do dabble with.
Oh yeah, of course we do. Yeah,
that's my guilty addiction, secret addiction that I do with my kids every now and again. And there are blokes in there drinking beer at like 9:30 in the morning. I mean, that turns my stomach, and that's the kind of the confirmation for me that I know I'm not a serious alcoholic, and I just go off the rails with it sometimes.
Have you ever smoked, as in cigarettes? Smoked?
Yeah, I did smoke. Yeah, I smoked from about 17.
Yeah, me too, actually. We've never spoken about this, have we? Yeah, so I used to smoke a lot from around about 17, and I got up to around about 20 a day, 25 a day if I was going out for a night or something. And I gave up multiple times and then started again. But it was interesting when I'm thinking about addiction. It really hooked me. I was really hooked.
Yeah.
And I remember trying to give up, and I suppose I didn't want it enough to give up. But what was interesting about that was I can be quite black and white, as in what allowed me to give up smoking was three things really. First thing was that the price of cigarettes had gone up ridiculously. So they ended up being £7 a packet or something. It was like, whoa, this is crazy what we're doing.
Twice that now.
Exactly. Thank goodness. I think it's a great thing. So that really hit me. And the second part was that I was smoking so much that I would wake up in the morning and have a sore throat. And I thought, a sore throat is my body's way of telling me that something that I'm doing to it is not good for it. That could turn into throat cancer one day. Why would I want to do that? Why would I want to damage myself in that way? So the extremity of me smoking a lot was essential in order for me to recognize that. And then the third thing was, I think, was that they stopped selling cigarettes in pubs, and they, in garages, they started to draw the shutters over the cigarettes as well. Because I'm very visual. So whenever I would go to somewhere like Berlin or another country, China, I'd get transfixed by the graphic design on the packets. And I'd be like, wow, look at those Marlboro green. What are they? I need to try the green ones. And I definitely get pulled into that. And it was like a, shiny thing with a magpie. And I'd be like, I'm on holiday. I'll just try it out. And
soft packet.
Yes,
you can tap it like the Lucky Strikes.
But the smell of that is incredible when you undo that. It's like, you smell the smell of tobacco, or hand rolling tobacco. See, it's opening a door in my head now, and I would never go back
in
to
holiday
it.
as well as a teenager.
Yeah,
going into sneaking off. Like sneaking off and going to the tobacconists.
I'm on holiday. It's all right.
Yeah, tap the bottom. This is brilliant. Yeah, go on.
I do remember going to last iteration of giving up, and I haven't smoked for years and years and years now. But I think probably since probably early 2000s was when I probably gave up. Yeah, But I think I do remember going to a festival and going, I can't open the door again. So if I were to try a cigarette, if I were to try inhaling tobacco, one or two, I'd probably be okay. But three or four, and my brain would be like, welcome home. Yeah, we're
Really?
back on this train again. Oh, yeah.
Really? Wow. Okay.
Yeah. It's super addictive for me. And I'm
'Cause
like,
I
wow,
occasionally
this
have
is
one. Look around a bonfire or around if I go to a men's circle or something, someone's smoking, I go, oh, guess one of them, mate. And
Yeah, I
roll-ups,
can't.
roll-ups or
I
a
dare not.
barbecue. And occasionally I go, oh, that's really nice. I enjoyed that. And sometimes I go, "Ugh, God, that's a real reminder of why I stopped doing that." And I get
Yeah.
four drags in, and even the fourth one's like, come on,
Head
I
spinning.
can do
You know,
this.
yeah.
Come on, you can do it, Jamie. No.
Yeah.
Check it on the fire.
A whole cigarette. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So,
And to be
yeah.
super transparent with you, I have a pouch of tobacco in the inside jacket pocket in my house right now. It's been there. It's been there for maybe a year and a half, something like that. And occasionally I'll have one.
That's interesting.
Occasionally I'll that coming home thing and go, ooh, I might have had a beer, or a mate might have come to visit me from London or something out to the countryside, and I'll sit around the fire and we'll go, I've got some fags in the house. And I go, oh yeah, go on then. It's like it's a real treat.
Yeah.
And we'll do that thing. We'll go, these are nice, aren't they? How's yours? How's yours? All right.
Well, that's probably
It's
really,
really good.
dry and caustic now, the one in your
it's
pocket.
full of chemicals and shit. It's still,
right.
It's still moist because it gets sealed on it anyway.
Okay.
Just want to share that because it's still there. I can still revisit it and put it down again. So I wonder if that's true for alcohol. And there will be one day soon in the future, I'm sure in my early 50s, I'm going to knock alcohol on the head completely. I'll go, I'm done with beer. I'm done with alcohol. And what's really interesting is I've got this on my Facebook feed. There's this thing called, it's an alcohol... it might have ended up on there when I had a year off, but it's a Facebook stream of people who are struggling with alcohol, and they're going alcohol free forever. So this is people like doing 12-step, okay? And what it is. It's a really brilliant reminder of me because daily I see a picture of someone crying with the looking really terrible, and the message underneath is, I don't know how I'm going to do this. This is day 2. Really suffering. I've been drinking for 27 years and I'm not in a good way. And then there are literally hundreds of comments of support underneath.
Wow.
Over 1,000 likes. Come on, mate, you can do this. Come on, darling. You can make it through day 6. Get past day 6, you'll be fine. I've been dry for 13 years. And this feed is a little reminder for me. It carries me through, and I look at it and I go, wow. And sometimes I comment on them. I go, come on, mate, you can do it. Especially young blokes in their early 20s. And there are pictures of before and afters. People celebrating 5 years dry, 10 years dry. They look broken, crying, and now they're fresh-faced, granddaughter in hand, and they've turned their life around. So it's
amazing.
That's my little window in reminder, because I think there is a grey area where we're all susceptible to tip over in whatever we're addicted to: porn, Netflix, Amazon.
Oh, the Netflix one's huge for people. Huge.
Yeah, huge, especially over lockdown.
I know people who are subscribing to Netflix and then they're binging, and then they would unsubscribe themselves because they almost didn't trust themselves, with binging on stuff, and they felt real guilt around binging. So it's really interesting. I mean, yeah, this is a conversation that could go on forever, isn't it? But it's so I mean, just like we've touched the surface on addiction, and maybe we can talk about it moving forwards as well in subsequent shows, and going a bit more in depth and exploring our own addictions. Maybe just it'll be interesting to actually go a couple of weeks and notice the pangs of addiction for each of us, and then we can report in and maybe do a show around that. What did you discover? Because I know for me, the subversive addictions which exist, like I was saying with Netflix, because if I think about it, I'm subscribed to, not to open this up, but I'm subscribed to Netflix, Prime, Disney, No, I'm not subscribed to Netflix, but all the others I pretty much am. Now TV. And it's like, wow, do I really need all those? And there's a sense of, it's there for my joy, for my entertainment. I deserve this. I'm in a pandemic. So it'll be interesting for a future show just to think about those subversive addictions that have got us hooked without us even realizing, and then bring that to the table and have a conversation about that.
Yeah, exactly. That'd be great.
Great stuff.
Because hearing what you say about that having all that access to all of that stuff is a bit like having a massive drinks cabinet.
Yeah, it is completely.
It's the equivalent of, isn't it? And then this huge library of porno mags for someone who's addicted to porn.
Yeah.
Why have all that temptation there? Same when I stopped drinking for a year, I had to get rid of all the booze out of the house.
That makes sense.
Every drip.
Subtle triggers, they're designed. Bottles are designed like that, and packets of cigarettes are designed like that.
Just switched it off, and it went, and I couldn't have any because it weren't there. Okay. Don't have chocolate in your fridge if you're addicted to chocolate.
No, it's impossible.
Especially the dark ones.
No, impossible. Okay, so that was a great conversation. No, forget the quality street. So that was great. Brilliant. So let's just kind of bring that to a close for now. But definitely something to talk about in the future in terms of real time going into our own lives and how are we addicted, casting a real attention to that and then just kind of bringing it into another conversation.
Yeah. Cool. Yeah. Wow, that wasn't so bad. I felt quite nervous about talking about that stuff, but it's important that we do talk about these topics because they're the shadow side of ourselves, aren't they? They're the bits that we don't like to talk about.
And oftentimes we'll be running away from it, and so oftentimes that's why it feels difficult to stop and turn around in case it's all consuming, but it never is. It's much better to kind of shed some light on it. All right. So thank you for being here again, everybody. And we just want to ask you to like and share and subscribe and, give us a little review and rating. That'd be fantastic, because the more that you do that, the more that Apple sees that this is a podcast worth listening to, and the more that they push it out to people who haven't heard us before. So we'd really appreciate that support. And share with your friends and share with family as well if you feel as if it's a support or something that they'd be interested in. So thanks a lot, Jamie. It's been a real pleasure to have this conversation with you, and it feels like it's the first of many around addiction.
Yeah, thanks, Phil. It's been a really interesting, open, honest conversation. So look forward to the next one. Over and out. See you soon, guys.